Imagine this. You rush your child into an emergency room. He's in pain. You're desperate. Seconds feel like hours. But instead of immediate help, you're met with cold stares, suspicious questions, and refusal. Not because of lack of doctors, not because of lack of resources, but because of who you are. This is the shocking story of how an emergency room refused to treat the son of a black CEO, right in front of other patients. And what happened just a few hours later shook the entire hospital system when she fired the entire staff involved. Stay with me for the full story, because the details are even more unbelievable than the headline. Welcome back to BlackRisestories. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe and tap that bell icon, because today's story is not just about one family. It's about what happens when bias, negligence, and discrimination collide in a place that's supposed to save lives. And trust me, you'll want to hear this entire story. 2 to 4. It was late evening when the CEO, let's call her Danielle, rushed into the emergency room with her teenage son. Her son was in visible pain, clutching his stomach, sweating, struggling to breathe normally. Any ER nurse knows that in these moments, time is critical. Danielle quickly filled out the intake form, provided insurance, medical history, everything. She expected what every parent expects: immediate triage, a doctor, a nurse, some reassurance. But instead, she noticed something off. The staff behind the counter exchanged glances. Their tone was cold. And when she pleaded, "Please, my son is in pain," she was met with dismissive answers. "You'll have to wait," one nurse said flatly, without even looking up. Pause for effect. Dramatic music beat. As minutes ticked by, Danielle noticed something chilling. Other patients who came after her were being taken in first. A man with a minor cut on his hand. A woman complaining of a headache. Her son, meanwhile, was still hunched over in pain. When she approached the desk again, the staff repeated, "We're busy. You'll have to wait your turn." But Danielle couldn't help noticing the difference. Those other patients didn't look like her. They weren't black. And then she overheard a whisper from one nurse to another. "We'll deal with them later." It wasn't just negligence anymore. It was bias. Plain and simple. Danielle, holding back her anger, tried to explain again. "My son's condition is serious. He needs immediate attention. Please." But instead of empathy, she got questions that felt like accusations. "Do you even have valid insurance? Are you sure you can cover the cost?" She pulled out her documents, showing proof of everything. Yet, the staff continued to stall. Her son moaned in pain beside her. Minutes turned into nearly an hour. And in an emergency room, that delay can be the difference between life and death. Finally, as her son's condition visibly worsened, Danielle had no choice. She revealed who she was. Not just a worried mother. Not just another patient's parent. But the CEO of one of the largest firms in the state. Her words carried both desperation and authority. "I am not leaving until my son gets the care he deserves. And trust me, this negligence will not go unanswered." At that moment, the room shifted. Suddenly, staff scrambled. A doctor was rushed in. Machines rolled into place. But the damage was done. Everyone in the waiting area had seen the cruel delay. Everyone knew this child should have been treated long before. Danielle stayed silent as they finally began examining her son. But in her mind, decisions were already being made. Later that night, while her son was stabilized and finally resting, Danielle made a call. Not to friends, not to the press, but to the hospital administration. She demanded an immediate meeting with the board, with senior directors, with HR, and when a CEO makes that kind of demand, you listen. Within hours, a late-night meeting was convened. Reports were pulled. Witnesses were interviewed. Security footage was reviewed. What they discovered was undeniable: bias, negligence, and clear violation of medical ethics. And so, by early morning, the verdict was in. The entire ER shift responsible for the discrimination was terminated. Every nurse, every assistant, every staff member who played a role in delaying treatment was fired on the spot. The hospital also announced an internal investigation with promises of new policies, immediate triage for all patients, regardless of background, zero tolerance for discrimination, mandatory bias training for every medical professional. The hospital had no choice, because not only had they failed a child, they had exposed a culture of prejudice in the very place meant to protect life. But let's step back for a moment. This wasn't just one story about one family. Studies have shown time and again that people of color, especially in the United States, often face longer wait times in emergency rooms. They're less likely to be taken seriously when they describe their pain. And tragically, this leads to worse health outcomes, and sometimes even preventable deaths. Danielle's son was lucky. He had a mother with influence, power, and the courage to stand up. But what about those who don't? How many voices go unheard? How many patients are left waiting until it's too late? Pause. Soft, emotional music. This story reminds us that hospitals are supposed to be the great equalizer. It shouldn't matter what you look like, what your background is, or how much money you make. When you walk into an emergency room, you deserve care. Period. And sometimes it takes one person speaking out, one strong decision, to change an entire system. So here's the question for you. What would you have done if this happened in front of you? Would you have spoken up? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you believe that healthcare should be fair and equal for everyone, hit that like button right now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that reveal the truth about our world. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and remember, every voice matters.